your art has been heavily influenced by the occult mythologies and fairy tales. What brings you to these themes, and how do you incorporate them into your work?
So I think that it always I feel like I stumbled into like witchcraft stuff randomly in college, but I know it wasn't random. I just can't really remember what made me pick up like the first book. But I think I've always had interest in fantasy and stuff because I grew up alongside Harry Potter. I grew up, literally was the same age when the books came out. And then when the movies came out, I was the same age as the actors. So I grew up with this like constant real life magic throughout my childhood and teen years. And it's just always been with me. And I always loved the idea of witches and witchcraft. And so then eventually in college, I started looking into more of the historical things and like the actual spirituality behind it. And I feel like it's also very related to like mythology, blends very naturally into witchcraft and stuff when you look into the gods and goddesses and archetypes and stuff like that. So I just love all that stuff in general, and I'm going to credit it to Harry Potter as being part of the root. But I think I like fairy tales and mythology because everything is a little bit more simple. Like bad things still happen, but there's mostly an explanation for it, or there's a moral to the story, or there's something to be learned. And real life is a lot more tones of gray than you don't get a real answer like you do in stories. And it's also just nice to like imagine a world where anything can happen. Like you want to draw a siren, like who's like a woman with her boobies out and she's got wings and like she decapitates men. Like that's awesome. Like, yeah, break all the rules. Like, so I think a lot of us can relate to needing a break from reality.
In what way have you tried to give back while using your business as a platform?
I usually have a charity design somewhere in my shop that's like up for a little bit and then I'll make something new, or I kind of switch them out. I think one of my first charity designs was like this feminism means equality shirt and had like hands holding and flowers, and like it was like it was a design that I made really early on. And I've been trying to do more things in relation to specific events. Like I did this like cat and like eating snakes, and it said like neo-Nazis not welcome, and that was in direct it was a direct reaction to the Charlottesville, Virginia Nazi rallies that happened in like 2017. So occasionally I do make things in response to certain events, and then whatever I sell it on, like 100% of the profits or whatever goes to a charity that's related to the design somehow. So I try and do that. I try and do at least one new design per year, I guess, maybe, or a few times. Or I bring back an old one and kind of switch it out. But without my print shop, I would usually do screen printed stuff, but that was also a challenge that I can't screen print. So like, oh my God, what am I going to make that people want? So I just did a batch of stickers that I released. One goes to, I can't remember the organizations, but I made this design that was about like looking through different perspectives. It's like a cat's face with like a moth over its face, but the eyes are the cat's eyes on the moth wings. So it isn't like an overtly political thing, like the neo-Nazis not welcome kind of thing, but it was kind of more of a subtle way I wanted to do something that I knew people would want to buy. And those are symbols that are like very popular with my audience. But at the same time, it also was showing like ideas I was trying to come across, like looking through different perspectives and stuff like that. And then also, if I'm not making designs that are like supposed to go towards charity, my friends and I've done 2 charity events now over the past like 4 years. And last year we put together this art market and we had a big charity fundraising event, and we were able to get a lot of donations from other artists, and we could like do raffles and stuff like that. And we were able to raise like a bunch of money for this organization because we knew a bunch of people would have been there anyway, shopping at all these small businesses. So like, might as well throw in another thing to like, that we knew people would show up for.
In what ways do you think the New York City art and culture scene can do a better job of diversifying?
That charity event I mentioned, we had a lot of things in mind for it, and we learned a lot of things doing it. We created this event because we felt there was not a very welcoming event currently happening. Not to say that it wasn't happening in other areas, but for this specific goth art witchy scene in New York City, we felt there was a lacking of a very welcoming environment art market. So a few of my friends and I teamed up and we decided we were going to host our own market. And it was a lot of work, but we learned a lot. And something that was important to us was that in other markets, when they became popular, the hosts would charge a lot for the tables in order to get your spot at it. And it wasn't like the venue was getting more expensive. Like, yes, the event was getting popular, but when you increase the table prices like times 10 in the span of a year, you're shutting out a lot of small businesses that can't afford to make that, because they also probably have travel expenses if they're not from the city, or you're cutting severely on their profit margins just so they can feel like they're part of this event. But it's a lot of goddamn work to prepare for this. And if the only reason you're increasing the table cost is to line your own pockets, you're not serving these artists anymore. You're not creating a community space. You're blocking out all these people who can't afford to be there. And also, like, the door tickets, like we had sliding scale for ours because we had to do door tickets in order to like help us cover the space of the renting thing. But we also realized that $5 might be too much for people who are there to buy from the small artists. So we had like a little sliding scale thing. And our main goal was just to be as inclusive as possible. And I think making sure that was our main goal, that was like the number one thing on our list. We always came back to that. And a lot of other markets might not have that be the number one thing on their list. So it's easy to forget about it because it is a lot of work and a lot of stress to create an event. But I think that going forward, anyone making events, they need to say what their stance is and they need to say what their values are, because we're living in a political climate and a modern world where you don't know if the dude you're supporting maybe like listens to weird neo-Nazi music because he's also like in the goth scene and sometimes that stuff blends, or like someone doesn't care about trans people. Like, you don't want to support them if you're like in the LGBT community. And so I feel like it is really important to declare spaces as a very safe space and be like, we are here, we are trying our best to like welcome everybody, and you probably will mess up, but like it's better to speak about it than to not speak out about it. And just keep digging for people. Like, the artists, the makers are out there. You just might have to like go deep and creep into Instagram until you find them. But like, that's another thing too. Like, people need to be sharing other creators they like that are from different diverse backgrounds. And if you have a platform, you should be sharing those people, because also like we're all artists first and then business people most of the time, or we're artists trying to make a living off of our creative endeavors, and community is more important than competition. Like, we should be uplifting each other. We shouldn't be trying to like stamp on each other's like fingers and toes just to like make a buck, because when we support and lift each other up, that's what makes it nice. Like, that's what it's really about.